So where does the money come from? If you're looking at this pie chart, what you're seeing is that 41% of our revenues that go into the general fund, and that's the money that floats the boat of our ship of state, that comes from the income tax. That's you and me. 21% comes from the sales tax, again, what we're doing in terms of purchasing. So those are really the biggest engines of economic revenue in the state of Connecticut. And if you look at the rest, we have a big chunk in terms of federal grants, but really the bulk of it is out of our pockets, either in purchases or in taxation that we're paying on the earnings that we make. We base so much of our Connecticut state budget on the payment of income taxes and capital gains taxes that when financial services tanked, a little over a year ago, all of a sudden Connecticut was in an instant, overnight, largely unanticipated deficit. And that's because, for the most part, those folks down in Fairfield County are floating much of the state of Connecticut budget. 7,000 businesses having closed since January, the first 6 months of the year 2009. We're last in job growth, and we are not business friendly. The high cost of doing business in Connecticut really significantly diminishes our competitiveness as a state. And any vision for improving our business climate really has to target housing affordability. Get those talented, college-educated young people who can't afford to buy homes in the neighborhoods and towns where they grew up, and give them affordability of housing so that we can keep our talent pool in Connecticut. We have a great ability to educate people, and we have some of the best colleges and secondary schools in the nation. Kids clamor to come to Connecticut to go to our schools, but they can't afford to stay here and they can't afford to live here. And let me just pause briefly. This is an unstable revenue source, and we've learned about the instability of the revenue source that underwrites the budget of Connecticut with the financial services sector collapsed just a year ago, and how that has impacted our budget and just plummeted us into an overnight deficit and recession. And when you base almost half of the budget of a state on a few people in one sector, one economic sector, if something were to happen to that sector, and something did, all of a sudden we're in a huge problem. 2.1% of Connecticut's population shoulders 43% of our tax burden. So those are the statistics to give you a little sense of what that equation really is. And so what we are doing is really risking our future economic viability on what looks to be and what has been an unstable revenue stream. And that instability in taxation is really a disincentive for companies to move to Connecticut.